What is up, guys? Welcome to a scorching hot day in my garage. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm already sweating. But this is TWA Motorsports, and today, yes, we're working on the Sierra. Now, I've been dreading this and been putting it off, and I don't know why I picked the hottest day to do it. But today, we need to get a couple other things out from under the hood of the Sierra here, and then we can roll it outside. I'm going to jack it up, and I'm going to power wash. Mainly I'm going to power wash the frame. I know I told you guys I was going to wipe a lot of it down by hand, and I think I probably will, like up on the fenders, like the inner fenders and stuff. I don't think I'll probably power wash there, but I do need to power wash the frame up here because it's all covered in grease and grime, and I just don't want to put the new motor in and do all this work and this be all gross. So I think what we'll do is we're going to start with the 13 millimeter that takes the battery out. Then we'll go over and get the reservoir, the coolant reservoir out, and the air box. And then after that, I think I'm going to have to tape up the AC lines, so I don't want any water to get in there. And then same thing on the line that we unhooked down here. So I'm going to try to set you guys up on a tripod, and I might just time lapse this part, and then we will roll this thing outside. I am going to jack it up, and the reason I'm going to do that is I think I'm going to crawl on the ground and power wash a little further back, because as you may or may not know, if you watched the last video, this thing was leaking quite a bit of power steering fluid out of the actual pump. So it's pretty coated on the bottom side. And like I said, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. And I've been putting this off. I have not worked on this thing at all, and I need to get going on it because I need to get this together. We got too many things going, and they're just piling up. So I'll set you guys up on the tripod, and let's get some of this stuff knocked out. So at this point, I have everything out other than the battery tray, and I may have to end up cutting it out, guys. I don't know. Let me see if I can show you. It's going to be a little noisy, but it's rusty. And pretty common for the battery trays and these things to be bad, but I don't even know that the bolts are going to release. So what I'm going to do is there's a bunch of junk on top of it. I'm going to push this thing out. I'm going to vacuum up the big chunks with a vacuum, and then we'll try to get it sprayed down with some sort of degreaser or something, and hopefully get it all washed up. So anyway, it's going to be a mess, I can tell you that. The other thing is, you guys can see my antenna where I relocated it is popped out over there now, but I'm going to leave that thing in place. I don't think there's any reason to. I may end up zip tying it since I have everything out of the way. I may zip tie it a little bit different because I had to sneak it in behind all that stuff when I originally did that mod. So the other thing is, like I said, I'm going to tape up the AC lines and any other lines I don't want to get water in. I'm going to try to stay away from electronics. I'm going to leave this box in place and just kind of try to clean around it, vacuum around it. But we'll get it outside and get it all vacuumed up. The next thing you guys will see is me starting up the power washer. So I have everything taken out, got it pushed outside. I will tell you guys, the battery tray was really rusty. I had to drill one of the bolts out. All the other ones came out. There's like 10 of them to hold that thing in, but obviously we're gonna have to replace that. But I put a cap in the vacuum reservoir for the brakes, so your master cylinder, brake master, or brake booster, sorry. Put a cap in both the lines that go to the power steering, and then as you can see, I taped off the AC both back there and up here. Now, I'm not going to focus spraying on those areas, but at this point, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it on the ground for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and spray this down with some degreaser, some purple power, and then we're going to fire up the power washer. Oh my gosh, I'm really not looking forward to this, guys, but it needs to be done. I have to do it, so it's getting done today. And once I do that, then I might lift it up and spray off the underside a little bit more. I don't know, just depends on how good this goes up top. Oh, I also capped off the fuel lines. I'm not going to be reusing those, but I don't want any water to like drain back into the tank. So let's get this thing done. as you can see, I went ahead and pushed it a little bit back into the garage, kind of letting it drain off. But I will tell you guys, while it's not perfect, it is way, way better. This thing has some sort of clay stuck to the frame, and so I got as much off as I could. And I didn't show you guys me lifting it up. I literally just washed back to the rear wheels. I didn't concern myself any further back than that. But like I said, it's a good start. I think that the rest of this, I'm gonna get some rags, and we'll probably do that on another day just because I'm gonna let this thing dry out. But I'm probably gonna use rags and just some brushes and stuff to clean up a little bit better. And then I might touch up some of this with some, I don't know whether I'll use the POR 15 or if I'll just poof can it with some Krylon or some Rust-Oleum or something. But I'm probably gonna touch up those areas of the frame that I got a little crazy on and the paint came off, just to make it look a little nicer. But I think it's a good idea to do this anytime you're taking a motor out. It just cleans things up and makes it look a lot better. Now I do have hard water, so it does suck because I'm gonna have some water spotting, but I think a majority of that will clean off. And I'm too picky, I think, because I'm probably overdoing it. Anyway, the next thing I'll show you guys, I'll set you kind of up on a tripod and we'll talk about, or I may just show you a time lapse of me cleaning all of this stuff out. And then maybe we can, I don't know if I'm gonna have to take the bed off in order to get the fuel lines out, but I'm really hoping I don't. I think I can reach up there and get them, but if not, we may have to take the bed off in order to get the fuel lines out. What I ended up doing, well, I'll show you later on in the video, but I got a whole new set from GM for an actual V8 truck, so you're not trying to adapt the 6-cylinder ones. And but I'll show you guys that hopefully in this video as well. So a couple nights later here, it comes the hard part, and it's really not hard, it's just time consuming. But what I'm going to be using, guys, is some, like a toothbrush, some towels, and some just soap and water. Now all this is like Dawn dish soap, and the reason I like to use that under the hood is it really strips down like grease and wax and stuff like that, and it's not super aggressive. So I'm going to kind of start up high and maybe work my way around, and I'll try to time lapse a majority of this for you. I don't even know that I'll show you all of it. I'd like to get tonight, I would like to get the upper fenders in this area here, maybe the parts of the firewall that can be cleaned, maybe some of the inside of this guy here of the radiator support, and then maybe over here, and then maybe we'll work our way down. I don't know how much I'll be able to show you down there just because there's not ample lighting down there, but I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to put a little bit of paint. I'm sure I'm going to touch up the areas where I blew paint off, but I don't know how aggressive I'm going to get as far as cleaning goes. I just want to make sure it's nice and, you know, somewhat clean, way cleaner than it was. And by all means, what I did with the power washer did clean a lot of this, but there's still some areas here that I want to clean up. So I'm going to start with some blue shop towels, and then I'm going to work my way to maybe some microfibers. So going over it twice, one with the towels and then one with the microfibers. So at this point, I've went over it a couple times, and I didn't show you guys all that in the time lapse, but also went over some of the lower part here, which, like I said, there just wasn't enough to show you. But I probably will do some more wiping on it as I put stuff together, but I'm going to start reassembling a few things, like the airbox. This goes underneath the airbox. I'm going to go ahead and put it in place, and then probably clean off the airbox and put it in, and then maybe even the reservoir here. Basically what's next is we need to probably get some sort of paint to go over the spots that I blew off. So I'm going to see if I can find something to go over it. But other than that, I think that'll be the next thing you guys see. I won't show you guys putting these back in, just 10 millimeters, same way we took them out. I've never used this stuff before, but I'm going to try it, and it is rust barrier, and it's flat black. I just thought it would probably match the best. And to be honest with you, I ran out of POR 15 and I wanted to try this stuff. So what I'm going to use is, I'm actually going to use a foam brush. We'll just see how it goes. I may have to go get a brush with some bristles, but I'm going to touch up basically areas along the frame. You could see spots where I blew paint off when I was power washing, and then same thing over here. But I thought I would like to do it with a brush just because I'd have a little more control over where the paint's going. You know, if I sprayed this, I'd have to tape off a lot of stuff, including the barrels of the wheels and stuff, and I don't want to have to do that. So I'm going to try this stuff. We'll see how it works and kind of what it looks like, but I'm going to open it up, and I'll kind of time lapse some of this for you. So I'm letting it dry. I did go ahead and put 2 coats on it, and I will tell you guys it shows a lot of brush strokes, which I'm not really happy with. So on the second coat, I kind of used that foam brush to kind of daub it on, and like I said, it's supposed to dry flat black, and I think it probably will. It's still pretty wet right now, but we'll come back and look at it here after a while. I think what we're going to try to attempt now is I'm going to push this thing out a little bit, and we're going to see if we can get the old fuel lines out. Now, there is a way where you can hook on, as you can see, there's a disconnect, not only from where we pulled it out of the throttle body here, but there's also a disconnect back a little further back. But what I decided to do is I just bought a set of stock fuel lines for a V8 truck, short bed V8 truck, and I'll list that in the description down below. But we're going to attempt to push this thing out, maybe get it jacked up a little bit on that side, and see what we can do about getting the old fuel lines out of the way. Now, a majority of this issue was with the motor and transmission. I think we'll be able to sneak it out since they're out of the way, but we're just gonna have to see once we get it outside. So we got this thing off the ground, and I've got it supported with 2 jack stands as well as the jack, so you wanna make sure it's nice and sturdy. I'm gonna try this out, guys. This is something that my wife and parents got me for my birthday, and it's one of those magic creepers. And to be honest with you, it seems like my regular creeper is okay, but this thing's so low that I've got to get really way up in the air. So I think this is going to work really well, actually. But let's slide under here and see what we got going on. Oh, this thing's so nice. Okay, so as you can see, we got our lines unhooked already up there, but there's several 10 millimeters that we're going to have to take out. So there's a bracket here, your fuel filter there. I think I'm going to have to take this guy out. This is part of the ABS pump, I believe. That's going to have to at least come loose so I can slide the lines here underneath. And sorry, you're probably getting some really weird glare, but one of the things I'm really excited about is I thought I was going to have to take the bed off in order to get to the connections back here. But once I take this charcoal canister out, and sorry, I'm going to move you guys to the other side, the lines actually unhook down here below, so I'm going to be able to get to it without having to take the tank down and that's really exciting, believe me. So I'm going to go ahead and whip all these tins out. There's several on the outside of the frame back here. It's really tight down here, guys, sorry. I'm going to go ahead and take these tins out, and they're actually here on the outside. You can see all these guys. So I'm going to go ahead and take those out, and maybe we'll be able to get the line loose, at least back to the canister. And I may end up having to take this center brace out too. I'm not really sure yet, but if I have to take any more than that out, I'll let you guys know, and then we'll kind of see once I get the canister out here what else is involved. Let's take a look at where we're at now. So 13 millimeter actually, guys, not 10 millimeter. I took every one of those out. I also undid the brake line or the wiring here just out of its holders. And I will tell you that the ABS is proved to be somewhat of an issue. I've got it pulled back, and I took the clip off that goes behind it, and then I went ahead and unhooked the lines that go to the tank. So everything is unhooked now. Just threading this guy out and getting the new one in may seem a little cumbersome. So what I may end up having to do is take each individual line out of their holders. I'm hoping not, because the new one is already in the holders. But for this one, for sure, you just can't get enough of this out in order to make that happen. So I think I really don't want to take the ABS pump out of the bracket itself. I think probably if you did that, you might have enough room, but I don't want to try to struggle with getting it back into place under the truck. So I'm going to snake these lines out, and then we'll take a look at the new lines compared to the old lines side by side. So here's what I'll say. After getting the old ones out and comparing it to the new ones, to be quite honest with you guys, if I had it to do over, I would have just made the lines that attached from the old lines to the new. And the reason I say that is this did not want to come out easily at all. Not in the least bit. And to be honest with you, like I said, I would just make the lines at this point, because there's just a whole bunch of stuff that has to be moved. Like I had to move the ABS, I had to push the lines back up over the truck. You can see right here that I've got them pushed up as far as I can possibly get them. Now the word is that you have to pull the cab off in order to do this job anyway, but obviously we did it without that. I didn't really want to pull the cab off, but at this point I'm going to try to snake these new ones back in, and I think it's going to be just as hard to get the new ones in as it was to get the old one out, but hopefully not. And I'm probably going to have to take this section here loose from the clamps in order to get it where it needs to be. But anyway, we're going to go back together, and then I'll give you guys a shot of it once we get it back in. So let's take a look at what we've got. It is all in place now. And guys, what I ended up doing was I took all the holders for the brake lines on the outside of the frame, and I was able to pull this guy. So the ABS, basically the ABS controller, I was able to pull it this direction enough where I could sneak the lines out and sneak the new lines in. So what I did have to do was, there's an attachment here, you can see, that hold all the lines, and then there's one back behind here that you probably can't see. I had to take those loose and then put the lines in one at a time. And I am telling you guys, this is not an easy chore. With a motor in this thing and a transmission in this thing, there is no way that you could get this done. Now, I know that Dorman makes one that has your flex lines right there. They are loose in a different spot, so I think that if you bought the Dorman version, you might be able to sneak it in with the motor and transmission. But if I had it to do over, like I said, I would probably just make the lines that went from the old V6 lines to the V8. But we're finished now. I did go ahead and hook all our lines up. I'm sorry, I'm going to move you over here. I've got the canister, the charcoal canister, all hooked up. It does have a label on it, so if you forget where your lines go, the bottom one that goes to the tank, it is labeled tank, and you can see the line that goes up to the tank. This guy here goes to the purge, which is on the new fuel lines that we put in, and everything is plugged in. I did have to reuse the plastic clips that hold the fuel lines in place up here, but everything is back in its holder. And I'm going to crawl out from under this thing and pick up some tools, and we'll take a look around it. I'll show you up under the hood at least. Now that we got it back down on the ground, I went ahead and zip tied the new lines just up to the firewall for the time being. But I think that this is going to look okay. Like I said, I think the brush strokes in it kind of annoy me. It's not too bad since I did the second round, but it's still not dry. But I think this is it for this video, guys. We are to the point where it is reassembly time. So a majority of the hard stuff is done. I know probably some of you guys are thinking like, what about the fuel pump? Well, turns out that the fuel pump in the 6-cylinder trucks and the V8 trucks are the exact same. So for right now, at the power level I'm going to be at, no sense in changing the fuel pump as of right now. But I really, really wish that I would have just made the lines. I know I've said this a couple times, but I wish I would have just made the lines off the old V6 ones. That would have saved me a ton of time and a ton of money, because that's not, I bought a GM fuel line kit and that is not the cheapest piece. I will, like I said, list it down below if you guys want to go that route. I guess it's not quite as hard as I made it out to be, but it is way harder than just making 2 lines that go off the old lines. So anyway, like I said, I think we're finished for today. I am completely, I'm sure I've got stuff all over my face. I've got it on my arms, my shirt. You guys can see I am dirty. So I'm going to go in and take a shower. But we are coming together on this truck. We're getting little by little, we're getting closer and closer. Next on this, I think we're going to continue the motor, putting some of the stuff together, and then hopefully in the next video after that we can get the motor set in the truck and start buttoning stuff up and getting this thing ready to run. I know I'm excited, so hopefully you guys are. If you did enjoy this video, guys, like always, please smash that thumbs up button. If you are not subscribed, guys, go down, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell icon that notifies you every single time we drop a new video. And well, see what we work on next.